Alright guys, a blaster that doesn't get much love right now is the Mastodon. Because it is big and it is goofy and it's impractical. But there's a build I've been wanting to do for quite a while, but I needed an extra Mastodon. This is the one I bought new and I didn't really feel like cutting up. So I did find a second-hand one for much cheaper that I feel much better about cutting up. Several months ago, probably more than a year ago, I was in a chat and was talking to Exiled, and we were just kind of throwing ideas around, and he sent me this picture, which I will show right now, of a very, very large, bulky, rifle-y type blaster, whereas the Mastodon is naturally in kind of a heavy weapon, or whatever you want to call it, where it kind of slings off to your side and it kind of hangs off you. I wanted something more that you actually shouldered, so I've been working on this. What we have here so far is just very rough together, but it's a Mastodon that's been cut off all along this whole bottom body line up to where you get this kind of tall section here. I haven't really started work up here yet. I'm just focusing on more the grip area. And it's been kind of a developing process because as long as I've been wanting to do this build, I wanted to use the Ravonics grip because I really, really like the Ravonics grip. It's a big, bulky grip, really comfortable, and in my head it was like the perfect fit. But because you have the bottom of the gearbox here, which I've trimmed a little bit off of, it caused some issues with fit. And so I'd fit this guy in a couple different spots. I did have more of this body extending down before, but I wanted to have this again, so we can get it back out. First try. But it just kind of stuck down too far, and no matter where I put it, it just didn't seem right. I mean, I wanted to have the grip up here a ways, but it just, I don't know, it was too vertical. I think the problem was the grip was too vertical, so it just kind of stuck like straight down, and it just kind of threw off the lines because you already have a very large, lumpy, kind of ugly looking blaster thing. So I was like, okay, well, I want to pull that line back a ways, and I'd actually considered taking a cut through here and just sweeping the grip back a little bit, but you have so much little detail in here that I wanted to preserve that I didn't want to compromise that, especially not knowing if that would actually fix what I wanted to fix. So in an effort to find something a little more sweepy, I cut up a long strike, and I started fitting it up in there, and that was a little bit better, but it's like the handle was too long or something, and I just couldn't find a place where it just looked happy. So hopefully I can reuse this, because I'd cut off a lot more of this than I really originally hoped as well. And what I ended up with was, I happened to be playing with this new Thunderhawk, and how's it fit? Yeah, like that. I was playing with the Thunderhawk and was kind of shouldering it, and I really, really liked how it shouldered, how it felt. How you have kind of this little, almost a broom handle type grip, not a lot of weird curvature, just kind of a stick, and then kind of a short stock that's kind of dumpy. And just shouldering the blaster itself, especially when you remove the big goofy slidey bit, you actually end up with kind of a cool blaster. Like when you remove the whole front end, you end up with just this little bit, and it's still functional, and it's really, really kind of comfortable. So I was playing with that and thinking, man, this blaster's really comfy. And so I thought, well, why the heck don't I just take the stock and work it into this guy? And so I'm at kind of a crossroads right now, where, because originally I liked the idea of keeping the Mastodon battery door, because right now the Mastodon body pretty much goes back to the back of the Thunderhawk body, and there's just this little stock hanging out. So there's the idea of leaving it nice and boxy up here, just having the stock hanging down, or try to find a way to cut this back and sacrificing the really nice battery door in order to kind of slim up the back end a little bit, kind of like the reference picture, where it does kind of taper back and gets a lot narrower. Whereas, like, if I was to replicate the reference shot, I'd probably want to remove this all the way through here, and maybe even like up right through here, and just have kind of this main strip across the top. But I need to have this much body because that is where the whole pusher and rotator assembly thing is on the Mastodon. So I have to keep to this line, which is the boxy part here. So trying to find a way to cleverly flow this kind of boxiness, cut it off and tie something together in order to make it flow into the much narrower but still rather large and bulky Thunderhawk stock. So there's a couple thoughts I'm kicking around right now as far as different things to merge in here, but this is kind of an introduction to the project. Like I said, I really haven't figured out what I'm doing for the front end quite yet, but I do want to pull this line up a ways. I can take out about 3/4 of an inch and have it to where the actual axis of the drum is right at the bottom. And I think by doing that, it'll help kind of trim up the front. I want to extend it a little bit as well. Haven't quite decided how. But hopefully when it's done, I'll have a nice, stocky, kind of ugly blaster that you can still shoulder and fire, only it's a Mastodon. So this will probably be kind of an on-again, off-again project, like most of them tend to be anymore. But this is one I've been very excited about for a long time, and now finally have the materials to do it. So hopefully by next time you see it, I'll have a decision made on the back end of this, and it'll be fitting together a little bit better.